Kitchen with Delightful Donna. Today we're going to be making picadillo and Spanish rice. So this is the way that I make it. My family likes it. Everyone makes their picadillo different, but this is the way I make it. So follow along. So I'm just going to get started here with making the picadillo. I'm going to chop up some onions. I have about 1/4 of an onion here. And I'm actually going to reserve just a little bit of it for my rice as well. So we're just going to rough chop it. Doesn't need to be perfect. We all know I'm a home cook. I'm not known for my knife skills. Alrighty. And we like kind of big pieces. All right. Push that off to the side. We're going to reserve a little bit for the rice, maybe 1/3 of it or so, roughly. And again, measure with your heart. If your family likes a lot of onion, put a lot of onion. If they don't. However you like it. These are these little red baby peppers. These are not spicy. They're just the little baby bell peppers that come in the bag. And I'm using 2 of them. The amount that I'm using today is for about roughly 3/4 pound of ground beef. So if you have a bigger family, it's just my husband and myself, so I don't like to make too much, so nothing goes to waste. And then I have here a jalapeno, and I'm going to not use the seeds. Use about 3/4 of it. Just for some flavor, but not too much spice. And again, we're just rough chopping these. They don't have to be perfect dices. This is not Food Network. And now we're gonna start with our carrots. I'm using baby carrots. You could use whole carrots if you have them. If you're using whole carrots, I would say probably half, 3/4 maybe, or 1 carrot. However much you like. Like I said, I'm using the baby ones. I'm using about, I don't know, 8 or 10 of them. And I'm just cutting them into 4 and then chopping those pieces. Like so. And it's a good idea when you make something like this that if you know, your pieces of your vegetables are all roughly the same size. They don't have to be perfect. Again, this is not Food Network. But they'll cook better, cook more evenly if they're roughly the same size. Okay, that's the carrots chopped. So looks like it's maybe, I would say 3/4 cup chopped carrot. Then we're going to, you can use any tomatoes you want. These are the tomatoes that I happen to have on hand. So we're gonna chop up a couple of tomatoes. We're gonna have some for our rice and some for our picadillo. Again, I'm gonna do these the same as I did the carrots. I'm just gonna cut them in 4. And I like to just get all of the chopping prep done ahead of time before I start actually cooking. That way everything is ready to put in the pan as the recipe goes along. And again, I'll probably use about 7 or 8 of these little baby tomatoes. If you were using whole tomatoes, I would say maybe half of a tomato. Again, it's whatever your family likes. If you like a lot of tomato, my husband doesn't really like tomato, so this is gonna go in for flavor, but he doesn't really like to eat the pieces of the tomato, so we don't put as much. All right, and again, we're gonna reserve a little bit of this for our rice, just a little. All right, there's that. And now we have some potato. The potatoes you can do slightly bigger, but not too big. Okay. And this is kind of the order I'm gonna put them in when I put them in the pan as well. All right, all chopped up. Now let's get started. I'm gonna put my pan on medium heat. Just gonna let that heat up slightly. And I'm gonna put just a little dazzle here of olive oil. And you don't have to use oil. I use very lean ground beef. My ground beef only has 7% fat, so I just put a little bit of oil in there so that it doesn't stick. There's that. Get out a spatula and we'll start chopping up that ground beef. And you just want to cook your ground beef a little bit until it starts to brown a little bit. Just trying to heat up slightly. Not quite medium high. And then continue to break up your meat as it's cooking. Starting to get a little bit brown. So we're going to start adding our vegetables. First thing we're going to add is our onion and peppers. Not an exact science, guys. So if you slip some of those carrots in right now, that's fine too. Okay. All right, let's get some garlic. Minced garlic from Costco. You don't have to use this. You can use fresh if you'd like, or there's frozen garlic or whatever you like. We like a lot of garlic. I've said that before. Put about a tablespoon. That's how my family likes it. You don't have to do that. If you don't like garlic, don't put it in at all. Completely up to you. This is one of those meals that's very subjective. If you don't like all these veggies, don't put them in. Some people don't like onions. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. If my mom was here visiting, I wouldn't be putting onions. My mom doesn't eat onions. And that's okay too. It'll still taste great. Remember, we cook with our heart, so this is all just whatever your family likes, that's what you do. Okay, you see the meat is almost brown. We're gonna come in with our spices. I know we just put garlic, don't come for me. Garlic powder, because we like it. Onion powder. Yes, it has onions, but we also put onion powder. Don't tell my mom I put that in here when she's here too. Don't tell her. Oregano. I use the ground oregano. I've said this before. Just by preference. You don't have to. You can use the flakes. And a little bit of lemon pepper. Just brightens it up just a bit. Don't need too much. And a little bit of Tony's, because that just goes in everything. All right, stir that up. All right, those peppers and onions are already starting to get a little bit soft. So now we're gonna add the carrots and the potatoes. And guys, listen, this is not sponsored, I'm just telling you. I get these cutting boards off of Amazon. See how flexible they are? And they're disposable. You can wash them if you choose to, but they're so great. They come in like a pack of 50, I don't know, 13 bucks or something. I can put a link down in the description. They're awesome. We're gonna stir this around. Want to get it mixed, combine it. All right. Now we're gonna add some tomato sauce. I just use the one in the can. I buy mine from Costco, but you can use whatever you want. This is a 15-ounce can, and we really only need about 8 or 10 ounces, so I'm not going to use the whole thing. I'll put the rest in a little mason jar and put it in my refrigerator for another recipe. We're good. Looks good already. Okay. We're going to use some, this is the Knorr beef bouillon powder. And I keep this little handy dandy scoop in here. We're going to use about 2 teaspoons, roughly. You know, measure with your heart. And then about 6 ounces of water. You don't want it too loose, but you don't want it too thick either. It's because it's going to thicken up as we cook and those potatoes cook down. All right. now, let's grab a bay leaf. Get a bay leaf. Throw her in there. Just one. All right, let's turn the heat down to medium-low and put a lid. I'm gonna let this simmer for about 30 minutes or so. We'll check on it every 5 to 10 minutes and get it stirred up every 5 to 10 minutes. Now we're gonna go over and start working on our rice. Turn our heat on. I like to use high heat, some people don't. I'm gonna use a little avocado oil, about 2 tablespoons maybe. This is 1 cup of basmati rice. Open up your spoon. Start stirring that around. Just want to coat all of your rice with the oil so it can toast up real nice. And then we'll just let this cook until it's golden brown. Okay, it's starting to brown up real nice. You just have to keep stirring it, let it sit for, 30, 45 seconds and stir again. Looks good. I don't like to get mine too dark. I don't want it to burn. Now we're gonna add these onions and tomatoes that we had reserved. Toast those up a little bit with the rice. I just want to do this until the onion gets fragrant. All right. Okay, now we're going to add our water. The ratio that I use is 1 cup of rice to 2 cups of water. Come up to a boil. And then I use, look at my fancy spice dill. This is the Knorr chicken tomato bouillon. This little spoon is a 1/2 teaspoon. So I'm going to use 4 of these because I want 2 teaspoons. Like that. And then this is not necessary, not everybody uses this. I personally like it. This is sazon Goya, and this is an achiote powder. And this really just helps, it does enhance the flavor a little bit. It probably has MSG, I don't really know, but it doesn't matter to me. My family likes it this way. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. But it also makes it that pretty red color. Do not lift your lid when you're making rice. A lot of people get frustrated making rice. It's actually very easy, but some people have trouble because they make the broth too thick and they lift the lid while it's cooking. So let it sit for the full 24 minutes, don't touch it. All right, our timer is about to go off 20 seconds. I'm just gonna turn it off. I'm gonna turn the rice off. I'm still not gonna open the lid just yet. Let's check on the picadillo. Looking good. You see how that's thickened up really nicely? It's not as liquidy as it was. Now it's more like a sauce than a broth. Looks fantastic. Let me just grab a fork to see if these potatoes are tender. They could probably use 2 or 3 more minutes. They're soft, but they're not soft enough. Let's just put this back on. We'll let that go for 2 or 3 minutes while we warm up our tortillas. All right, we have it plated up. I just served it with a little bit of avocado and flour tortillas. These are homemade tortillas that I made a couple of days ago. If you guys want to see a video on the tortillas, let me know in the comments. And then let's give it a taste. Very good. The sauce has turned into, or the broth has turned into a really nice smooth sauce, very silky. The carrots and the potatoes are very tender. This is a really great meal that you can make homemade, and took me about, I don't know, 45 minutes or so. So let me know in the comments if you guys want the full recipes for these with all the measurements for the spices and etc. And then I'll put that in the comments for you. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family if you liked it. And then like our page, subscribe to YouTube, and like us on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching. Bye.